Hello and welcome to another episode of Battle Ready.
Yay!
And so today we thought we'd talk about one of the features in particular that's new to 4th edition.
Yes.
Well, I guess not super new.
Newish.
But the new way that it's being handled, and that is the double turn. And specifically, is it always a good idea to take the double?
And third, yes.
Actually, I think in third the answer to that was no. In third, I felt like the double from 1 to 2 was definitely not as good as from 2 to 3. I felt like sometimes I did not take it when I had the opportunity because I wanted to prevent you from doubling later.
I always took it.
Yeah, Drake took it a lot.
Power hungry.
And I feel like unless I felt like I could, really sort of clinch the game on the double, I didn't always take it. Now, I probably took it more often than not, and probably more than, super good tournament player people might take it. But it wasn't an automatic. I always had to think about it.
Never thought. Just went for it.
But in 4th edition, I'm not sure that's the case anymore.
I'm having to think about things now.
You think do you think about it more now?
I have to think about it now. And I don't like that. I'm an orc. I want to run forward and smash things.
Oh my gosh, I have the complete opposite thought about it. I feel like now I don't. It's basically an automatic yes for me. I will basically.
You lose 4 points.
But do you? And the reason I say that is because for 2 reasons. One, so this season, and this might change if the season changes, but this season's battle tactics are harder, right? And so whereas before you would basically get 5 battle tactics, right? You get one every round. The order might change a little bit, but you were basically getting 5, right? Well, now you're only going to be getting 4, maybe 3. You're going to be dropping 1 anyway.
We usually get 3.
So taking the double, yes, you can't pick a battle tactic, but I wasn't going to get them all anyway.
Yeah, I only ever pick it if I'm like, okay, I can't really get a battle tactic. So
yeah, well, what I'm saying is when we first heard that, if you take the double, you don't get a battle tactic. Drake and I were both like, oh my gosh, we'll never pick the double because losing out on 4 points is huge. But I don't think you really lose out on them because
you stop your opponent.
Well, I feel like you don't lose the 4 points because you weren't going to get those 4 points anyway, right? Or there was going to be a turn later where you weren't going to get 4 points, so it evens out. And when you're down 4 points, lots of times that makes you the underdog in the next round. So that means by taking the double, I'm actually getting the underdog bonus and a bonus command point. So I feel like the game is incentivizing me to take the double. It's not disincentive. It's not a hard choice. I'm like, do I want to take the double or not? Now I feel like, yeah, basically every time that opportunity is presented, I want to take the double. What do you think?
Sometimes I have to think on, I could get a battle tactic, and it would and if it means I can get a battle tactic and I'm still going to be behind on points, I'll still get underdog bonus. I might refuse the double then.
Maybe if you were far enough behind that you couldn't sacrifice the points, maybe I could see that. And what's interesting is I feel like the decision is way more difficult in Spearhead. Right? Because in Spearhead, if you take the double, you don't draw any more cards. So you're giving up points and or you're giving up commands. Right? So it's like it's a bigger deal. And the underdog is not as strong in Spearhead because you don't get a bonus command point, right? It's not like you draw an extra card or whatever. And so I feel like Spearhead, it's a more difficult thought process. Now, what do you think?
I think it depends on if you didn't score any cards last turn. I'm like,
yeah, I mean, certainly there's going to be times when it's more advantageous or less. But I mean, think about on average taking the double or wanting to take the double in Big AOS and wanting to take the double in Spearhead. Which one do you think about more? You spend more time with Big AOS?
Yeah.
Really? Unpack that, because every time you go to take the double, you've had the opportunity to take the double, and when we played it, you've clapped and screamed and said, yes, double. So it doesn't look like you're taking a lot of time to
Yes,
think
but
about it.
that's just my immediate reaction. Then I think.
Oh, then you think.
And then I just
and you
say-
decide the same thing.
Yes.
Okay.
But I do think.
All right,
That's
well,
important.
what is it that you're thinking about?
I'm thinking about whether or not I can make use of the double. If I can kill some of your stuff and deny some points. If I can make use of the underdog bonus and how much fun I'm gonna have.
Well, see,
In opposite.
I mean, I
order.
think those are all factors to consider, but I think in 99% of situations, those are all going to be pros for taking the double. It's going to be pretty rare that you list one of those factors and you're like, oh, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I'm sure there are going to be game states where you decide to not take the double. But
Bleh.
I feel like, man, in big AOS, I hardly have to think about it at all. Whereas in Spearhead, I do give it more thought. Now, the thing of it is, though, a lot of this is informed by the season rules, right? Because the way that battle tactics are, that's the way that they're harder and you're going to miss some, that sort of factors in. So the fact that you miss one when you take the double, it's not as big a disincentive as it otherwise would be. I think that some of the battle plans, and we'll talk about this more in a later video, do give substantial advantages to the underdog.
Mhm.
And so taking the double and getting to be the underdog is like extra incentive, right? So maybe future seasons will sort of address that. But at least right now, gosh, I was hoping that whether or not to take the double would be a bigger difficult decision. I thought it would require more thought, more analysis, more like, maybe I take the double only half the time, whereas before I was taking it like, let's say 3/4 of the time. But now I've gone from taking it 3/4 of the time to basically taking it every time. There might have been one game where I didn't take it, maybe, but I certainly can't remember that, and I know I've taken it most of the time.
The only times he won't take it in fourth is when I don't let him.
Yeah, when Drake outrules me, then I don't get to take the double. That is true.
Yeah, that's just how you deny a double. Just roll better.
Just roll good. Just
Easy,
roll good.
easy.
Yeah. So that I think now overall, I think we love 4th edition.
Yes.
I certainly think it's way better than 3rd edition.
Yes.
Having a lot of fun with it.
Yes.
But that is one area where I look at it and I say, "Ooh, this is a little bit of a miss."
No, much better.
This thing about whether or not to take the double, adding in, reasoning and gamification and making it a realistic choice. I missed the mark a little bit. I think there's actually less choice. Well, you say that, but then I asked you about it, and you've taken it every time with cheers and claps. So I know you want to think, yeah, but you always end up in the same answer. So are you really is it really much of a choice if you always end up in the same place?
Yes.
Okay. I think you just want you want it to be a choice, and so you're just believing that it is one, even though it's not really a choice.
All the answers.
Yes. So yeah, that's I think our thoughts on the double turn. But despite Drake's craziness, I do think that the double turn needs a little bit of attention. Not that it's necessarily bad. I don't think having the double in the game is bad. I don't think that at all. I think it's actually fun and interesting. But I would like to see it where if you have the opportunity, you have to sort of like weigh the pros and cons a little bit. And right now, the pros far outweigh the cons. And so you're just snapping up that double basically every time. All right. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts. Do you think that the double is too easily taken, or are we way off base and we're taking the double when we shouldn't be? The good strategy is to not take it, and we're over here like a bunch of noobs, willy-nilly taking doubles. Let us know. This has been another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready.
Thanks so much for watching.